March 3rd, 5 o'clock. I'm going to call the St. Croix County Board of Supervisors to order. We don't have a minister tonight, so we'll have a few seconds of silent prayer. Thank you, everyone. Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call. We have everybody here with the 4 excused. We're open for public comment for anything on or off the agenda. Anybody from the public that wants to speak on anything that's on or off the agenda at this time? Anybody from the public want to speak for anything on or off the agenda? Not seeing anybody, we'll move forward with the consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Supervisor Hanson, second. Supervisor Peterson. Are there any questions?
It's not a question, it's just a comment saying that, I mean, I'm going to approve it, but being aware that the acreage in New Richmond is going to be residential, which means it could possibly be apartments, which means in 13 acres you can get hundreds of people. And that would affect the number of people that that district would be representing. And it's just something to be aware of, because if we're only changing it every 10 years, you can't tell what's going to happen, but when you know ahead of time that it's going to be residential, it's just something to be aware of. That's it.
I think you adjust those, don't you, Cindy?
I'm sorry?
Districts, those get adjusted if.
In 2021,
Yeah.
that's when it'll get started. The Hudson annexation is also partially going to be a residential area.
Okay, any other questions? If not, we have a motion and a second on the floor. We'll vote on that. That's all yeses. Thank you. We're going to move on to presentations and recognitions, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Thompson.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe on your agenda we have 2 sets of recognitions of this evening. The first one is to recognize the retirement of Fred Johnson. Fred has served as the Health and Human Services Director since which year, Fred? 2005. He was appointed, not by me. I came in 11, but Fred was already serving as the Health and Human Services Director. He was appointed by the board in 2005, but his service to the county even predates that. He has approximately 28 years of service to St. Croix County. He started off in the department at, I think, the social worker level, and through the course of his 28-year career, slowly advanced, and in 2005 was appointed the director. He has served admirably in that role since 2005, and certainly since I came as county administrator in 2011, Fred has been exemplary in terms of his service to the county as Health and Human Services Director. As department heads go, I would put him right at the top. I mean, right in that top echelon. He's been super. to work with. And I met with his staff earlier this, well, actually, it was a couple weeks ago out at the Health and Human Services building. He had an all-staff meeting, and we spoke about Fred at that meeting. So I won't go into a lot of detail today, but he's just been wonderful to work with. So I'd like to call Fred up to the podium, and we're going to present you with a little token of our appreciation, Fred. They say that when you retire, you have a lot of extra time on your hands. And if your wife is anything like my wife, she probably has a honey-do list or a honey-do jar. But for you to be able to keep track of time when you retire, we're presenting this to you this evening. It's a clock. And it's inscripted Fred Johnson, St. Croix County Health and Human Services Director. So thank you so much, Fred.
Say a few words. That's very kind. Thank you. And Pat's words the other day were very, very kind as well. I have over 30 years of county experience, 28 of which was with St. Croix, and lots of memories. So Roger and Dave, you may want to put me on the clock. Just saying. Could go on for a while.
After 28 years, Fred, you take what?
I know. But I've been very fortunate to work with many, many great people, and that's what I'll miss the most. About a week before I gave Pat my notice of retirement, we received our CMS heightened scrutiny approval, which Sandy put a lot of work into. I put some as well. That was a lengthy process, and when we received that notice, I took that as a sign that maybe it's time. Maybe it's time. Many times I've been asked what my retirement plans are, so I'll tell you three things. One is I'm going to build a deck. We did a remodel on our house, and many of you may know I was a carpenter for a lot of years. So I fancy myself as being fairly handy with a hammer. And so I didn't get to that project last year, so I'm going to start working on the deck. We equally did not have time to get to landscaping. So I've got some landscaping work that I'm going to do, keep myself busy there. But on my first day of retirement, I planning to just hop on the bike and have a good bike ride and think back to all the fond memories. And if the weather's bad, I'll just wait till the next day because I'm retired. But thank you all very much. It's been an honor to work here, and I'll remember you always.
Thank you, Fred. Congratulations.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
yep. We're also recognizing county board supervisors that are leaving the county board after years of service. And did you want to help present the recognition, Roger?
I can do that.
Okay. Couple members are not here this evening, but we'll make sure that they get them. So, the first one is to Supervisor Linda Miller. Thanks, Linda. The next, the next certificate is to Supervisor Tom Coulter. The next certificate is for Supervisor Tammy Mutaden. And then we also have a certificate for Nancy Hobley? Yep. Yes. Took me that long to figure it out, Nancy. And thanks. Yeah, and last but not least, I probably should say a little bit more about Supervisor Chairman Roger Larson. Roger, you were on the board when I came, and I think you took over as chair in 2014. Yeah, and Roger has been serving as chair since that time, and it's been a joy for me to get to know Roger over the course of the last several years, and Roger has been a great board chair, I think, for all of us, for administration and for the board and for all the department heads. I'm hearing a lot of staff people saying we're really going to miss Roger. He makes it a point to get to know staff, get to know employees. You'll see him frequently in county facilities, just talking to people and saying hi and checking in with folks. And I know that they appreciate that. And so it was kind of like he was our ambassador of goodwill for St. Croix County. And so I think we're going to miss that. I know I will. So Roger, especially thank you so much.
Just going to say a couple things real quick here. I'm going to try and make it a quick meeting tonight, but it's been a real pleasure being on the board, and we've accomplished a lot since I've been on the board, and I think everybody working together made a big difference. So we've really had a good boards over the years. The staff and all the people who work for St. Croix County are just unbelievable to make this job easier. If it wasn't for that, this job could be really difficult, but they're easy to work with. They're all good people. They all have smiles on their faces now, it just seems like when I walk around. So it's been a real pleasure to work with everybody. Not going to say any more. It's been a real pleasure working with everybody, so thank you. And thank you, Pat. We'll move forward into our annual reports. The first one's County Administrator.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My annual report is in the packet, and I am able to entertain any questions you might have. Hopefully you've had a chance to look at it.
Without seeing any questions, we'll move forward to
Thank you.
Corp Counsel.
Well, I'd planned a rather detailed analysis, but I will defer to Mr. Thompson and entertain any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
I just have one. On page 45, what is the in-rem tax deed foreclosure? It's under goals, objectives achieved.
So there are four different ways to collect property taxes for a county. There's an administrative process, tax deed, in which the matter doesn't go to court. There's a method called in rem, which we switched to this year, which offers the advantage of getting an actual court judgment quieting title of the properties that the county takes. A property has to be delinquent for 2 years, and we don't proceed unless they're delinquent for 3 years. They're provided notice, an opportunity to pay, an opportunity to contest their taxes, or contest the action, although the objections are limited by statute, and then we go to court and take title. So this year, because the county had adopted an ordinance years ago, collectively, the Corporation Council, the treasurer, and the county clerk thought that this was a better process because it gives us better title when the county acquires title.
Are you going to keep it doing it this way then?
That's the plan, yes.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move forward to the Human Services.
Good evening. I will follow my predecessors. I am here if you have any questions for me.
Do you have any questions? If we have none, thank you, Tara.
Okay?
We'll move forward to the financial report. County Administrator.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your packets, you have the first month of the year, January 2020, for all the county departments, revenues and expenditures. And then we also show capital improvement project status, but we're only 1 month into the year. I spoke with Ken Witt about the 2019 year end. We have unaudited figures at this point, but they don't vary from what I reported last month, that all departments have stayed within budgeted expenditures and revenues. And so we will be ending the year with a positive fund balance. So we're only 1 month into the year, so there's really nothing to report on in terms of year-to-date expenditures. Just want to thank department heads for their watchful eye during 2019 on their budgets. If there are no questions on that, it was brought to my attention that Mr. Zappa is here this evening, and you'll recall as part of the land acquisition on the St. Croix bluff, that resolution, which was passed by the board, called for this donation back to the county. And Mr. Zappa is here this evening to present a check to the county in the amount of $300,000, I believe. And some change. And so I'll, on behalf of the county, thank you, Mr. Zappa, and you present that to Ken Witt, the finance director. Do you want to say anything?
Well, it's actually $339,500.
Okay.
Quite a bit of change.
That is a lot of change.
Yeah.
That is a lot.
I'd like to thank the board for their patience, and a special thanks to Ellen Denzer for staying with this project and making it a reality.
Yes.
So I'd like to thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much, Mr. Zappa.
Thank you.
I want to chime in. Gary, you're a good neighbor to the county, you're a good citizen and a great example for all of us. You set the bar very high. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, are there any questions? Supervisor Akhtarov.
As usual. One is, I'm looking at the KIP on page 54. Under public protection 7260, I think it's the Phase 2 radio system upgrade, and it started in 2015. Do they see an end to it?
Yes, that project is complete. So there's,
Oh, it just doesn't say that.
well, Ken, I mean, the project is complete. There was some residual funds.
Yeah, so the wiring for the Hudson Water Tower, I think it's the Hudson Water Tower, is going to come out of that. Yeah.
Oh.
That's the only thing that it's kept open for.
Okay.
And so that rewiring was supposed to have happened in 2017, I think, or 2018, and it kept getting delayed because they delayed the repainting of the water tower. So that's the only thing that's holding that project open right now.
Okay, and the only other thing I'm going to say is I appreciate the years being put on, and I do notice that Parks is the only thing that has anything on it that's older than 2019. So hopefully, there's 5 items from 17 and 18, so hopefully some of those will be taken care of, which is one of the reasons I wanted the dates put on, so people would know. I mean, yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Supervisor Osnes?
Ken, before you sit down, now that you're halfway down, can you give us a quick update for the folks that don't know on the, where we're at with the Hammond facility as far as purchase?
Yep. Mayor Thompson can. We closed last Thursday on that, and the money's in the bank. After commission and any fees, it was 1,400,000.
402.
And some change.
And some change.
Okay,
It's already earning interest.
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Supervisor Hanson?
Are those funds dedicated for anything? Are we applying them specifically for anything, or are they going into the general fund?
They went into the KIP. Yep. Per board policy.
Any other questions? Thank you. Not seeing any, we'll move on to our business items. First one is a resolution establishing compensation for elected officials for the years 2021 and 2024, through those years, 2021 and 24. I need a motion to approve. Supervisor Hanson, second by Supervisor Peterson. Okay. Any discussion on that? Not seeing any. We have a motion and a second on the floor.
Second's not in yet.
And we'll vote on that resolution then, this time. That was all yeses. Thank you. Next resolution is a resolution to support legislation to increase funding to the County Veteran Service Officers Grant. I have a Supervisor Osnes motion. Do I have a second to that? Supervisor Miller, thank you. Any discussion or questions? Not seeing any. I have a motion and a second on the floor. We will vote on that resolution. And that was all yeses. Thank you. Our next item is a
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is a record time for you to get us through.
a resolution of commitment and support of the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, WSDOT 2020, 2024 Transportation Alternative Program application for construction of the Highway 35 off-road trails. So I have a motion. Supervisor Hanson, second. Supervisor Motatum. Is there any discussion on that resolution? Supervisor Hanson.
This is for a 1.1 mile off-road. This is the, kind of the part, it's definitely part of our result of our last TAP grant, where we wrote we spent 2 years with a great deal of input from people all the way across the county, writing a very thorough bicycle pedestrian plan. This is one of the first concrete steps to have part of the off-road system. This will go from State Highway 35 south toward Willow River State Park, and its value of the entire project will be $658,600. Now, only 20% of that will be matched by St. Croix County, so it's really a very, very low-cost grant if we're able to get it. It's a very high-paying grant by the state, so it's an excellent value for us.
Any other questions? Not seeing any. We have a motion and a second on the floor for this resolution, so we'll vote at this time. And that's all yeses. Thank you. This time, we'll request for future agenda items. If anybody has any, they can get them to Pat or Cindy, and they'll be okay.
We'll call you, Roger.
Okay. Good. County clerk report, please. Nothing? Okay. Announcements and correspondence.
At your desk this evening, there is an official communication piece from the sheriff's office, public health officer, and the emergency government manager regarding COVID-19, coronavirus, and St. Croix County's preparedness on this issue. And so there was an official statement prepared, and the board should have a copy of that.
You do. And with that, I don't see any other agenda items. So thank you, everyone, for a wonderful run. I really appreciate everybody, like I said. So this meeting's adjourned. Thank you.